He couldn't afford groceries. Not really. Not this week. Dennis had $23 left in his account, a daughter waiting at home, and a box of marked-down chicken thighs he hadn't paid for, yet still in his hands. And when his truck door swung wide in morning wind and slammed into the gleaming black Cadillac Escalade parked beside him, the sound was small, a soft, sickening crunch. Dennis froze. The parking lot was empty. No security guard. No other shoppers. He scanned left then right. Nothing but concrete and silence and low hum of a refrigeration unit somewhere behind building. No cameras he could see. No witnesses. No one watching. He could walk away, put the chicken back, get in his truck, drive to his shift at the warehouse, and no one would ever know. His hands were already shaking. He thought it was just a decision about a dented car, but that one choice would change everything forever. If stories of quiet integrity and second chances move you, stick around it and consider hitting like early. It means more than you know. Dennis Calloway was 34 years old, and he was specific kind of broke that doesn't announce itself loudly. It just shows up everywhere, quietly. In the way he checked the price of bread before picking it up, in the way he'd explained to his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, that the heat works better when you wear a sweater inside, in the way he rehearsed exactly what he needed before entering a store because impulse was a luxury he couldn't afford. 3 years ago, his wife Marissa had set a note on the kitchen counter, tucked it beneath his coffee mug, and driven away before sunrise. I love you, but I'm disappearing. I have to go find myself before there's nothing left to find. No argument. No warning. Just words on a receipt and then silence. And then sound of Lily waking up and calling for a mother who wasn't there anymore. Dennis had stood in that kitchen for a long time before he made her breakfast. He worked the 5 to 2 shift at Callahan Warehouse, loading freight until his back stored the ache like memory. Some days the tiredness went so deep it had its own gravity. But he stopped at Park every Wednesday, made pancakes every Sunday, read exactly 2 chapters every night, never 1, never 3 eyes of whatever book Lily was holding that week. The night before, she'd looked up from Charlotte's web with particular seriousness she reserved for important questions. "Daddy, does Wilbur ever stop being scared?" Dennis had paused, question landing heavier than she intended. "I think," he said carefully, "being scared and being brave are the same thing. Just wearing different hats." She considered this with great gravity, then nodded and told him to keep reading. He wasn't ashamed of his life, but he was lonely inside it. And loneliness, he'd come to understand, doesn't fill a room all at once. It seeps in slowly like cold through old windows, until one day you stop noticing because you've been breathing it so long. He could still feel that cold when he stood in that parking lot, staring at the crescent of damage on the Escalade's rear panel. His brain ran the math immediately, the brutal, involuntary math of a man who lives close to the edge. Body shop estimates, insurance complications, a deductible he didn't have, the possibility of being sued by whoever owned a car like that, a car that cost more than everything he owned combined. He could walk away. The thought lasted exactly 4 seconds. Then Lily's face flashed in his mind, not dramatically, not like a movie, just quietly, the way she always appeared when it mattered, sitting at the kitchen table doing homework, trusting him completely, building her entire understanding of how people behave from watching him move through the world. He couldn't let her down, not even when she'd never know, especially then. He set the chicken thighs on the hood of his truck, reached into the glove box and found a crumpled grocery receipt. He smoothed it against the steering wheel and wrote carefully, his handwriting cramped but legible. "Hi, I'm the blue Chevy next to you. My door hit your panel by accident. I'm sorry. Here's my number. Whatever it costs to fix, I'll find a way to pay it. Dennis Calloway." His hands were still shaking when he tucked it under the wiper blade. Integrity when no one watches. It doesn't feel heroic. It just feels terrifying. He bought the bread. He bought the chicken. He drove to work telling himself it would probably be fine, knowing it probably wouldn't be. The call came at noon. He was eating a sandwich alone at the folding table in the break room when his phone buzzed with an unknown number. "Is this Dennis Calloway?" A woman's voice, measured, still, like water over smooth stone. "Yes, ma'am. My name is Evelyn Hargrove." A pause that felt deliberate. "It's my Cadillac you left the note on." Dennis set his sandwich down slowly. Hargrove. The name printed above the entrance of the grocery store he'd parked outside of that morning. The name on 3 stores across the city. The name his co-workers mentioned when they talked about the kind of people who owned things and really owned things, the way regular people never quite do. "I'm sorry about your panel," he said. "I meant what I wrote. I'll find a way to pay for it." A longer pause this time, something unreadable in the silence. "Mr. Calloway," she said, "I'd like to buy you a cup of coffee. Would Thursday work?" Evelyn Hargrove was 51, and she had the kind of presence that fills a room without trying, not through loudness, but through the particular stillness of someone who stopped needing to perform a long time ago. She ran 3 grocery stores, a foundation for food-insecure families, and a life that looked from the outside like the picture of success. From the inside, most mornings it felt like an enormous empty house. Her husband Richard had died 4 years ago. Heart attack. There one morning, gone by afternoon. No dramatic goodbye, no final wisdom, just an absence so sudden it still sometimes ambushed her in ordinary moments. The smell of his coffee, the sound of a door. She had poured herself into the business the way water pours itself into any available shape, just to stay in motion. What she hadn't told anyone, what she'd barely admitted to herself, was that the work had started to feel like filling the emptiness rather than living inside it. She had been sitting in her car that Tuesday morning, 3 spaces down, on a call with her accountant. She had seen everything. The swing of the door, the crunch, the way Dennis froze and looked both ways. She had watched him reach into the glove box. By the time her call ended, she sat in the silence of that parking lot and felt something move in her chest. Quiet, surprised, like a room she'd forgotten about suddenly lit. When, she thought, was the last time I watched someone simply do the right thing? She couldn't answer. The diner was small on Clement Street, with coffee that arrived without asking and a particular morning light that made everything feel slightly more honest than usual. Dennis came 3 minutes early in his cleanest flannel shirt. Evelyn noticed his hands, large, calloused, careful. Hands built for carrying things. He was mortified to learn who she was. She found that completely disarming. "You really didn't need to do this," he said. It was the right thing." "I know," she said quietly. "That's exactly why I called." She asked about him the way people rarely ask, not filling silence, but genuinely wanting the answer. He told her about the warehouse, about Lily, about the 2 chapters, about the pancakes. She told him about Richard, about the stores she'd grown because forward motion was the only kind that didn't hurt. "Do you ever feel like you're just—" She paused, choosing words carefully, filling time, waiting for something to feel real again? Dennis looked up from his coffee. "Filling the emptiness," he said. "Yeah, I know exactly what that feels like." She looked at him across the rim of her cup, and something in the air between them shifted, subtle and certain, like the first degree of a change in weather. Lily met Evelyn 3 weeks later, at the park on a Wednesday afternoon. Evelyn had found herself driving past it twice before she stopped, pretending she wasn't going there. She sat on a bench. Lily was on the swings, pumping her legs with an expression of fierce scientific concentration.
"High enough to touch the clouds?"
Evelyn called over. Lily evaluated her with complete seriousness. "Not yet, but I'm working on it." They were best friends within 20 minutes. Dennis watched from across the park. This woman in her good coat, pushing his daughter on a swing, both of them laughing at something he couldn't quite hear, and felt something happen in his chest. Not dramatic, not sudden, just warmth returning to a room that had been cold so long he'd forgotten warmth had a feeling, the waves of loneliness pulling, and something finally beginning to anchor. Months moved the way good things move, quietly without announcements. Evelyn offered him the floor supervisor position when her longtime manager retired. He almost refused out of sheer stubbornness. She almost let him. They argued about it across her kitchen table while Lily drew horses in a notebook and pretended very hard not to be listening. "It's not charity," Evelyn said with the directness he'd come to love. "I watched you leave that note when no one was watching. That's the single most important quality I need in someone running my floor." He was quiet for a moment. "Integrity when no one watches." "Exactly that." He took the job. He was good at it, genuinely, organically good. The way people are good at things that align with who they actually are. The staff trusted him completely. The way people trust someone who clearly isn't performing for any audience. There were hard moments too. Evenings when old grief surfaced in both of them like tides they hadn't expected. Moments of self-doubt, and is this real? Or are we just two lonely people filling each other's silences? But then Lily would appear in the kitchen doorway, asking a deeply unreasonable question about horses. And the ordinary weight of her would pull everything back to solid ground. Waves pulling. Love anchoring. He proposed on a Thursday morning in Evelyn's kitchen, while the coffee maker sputtered, and the early light came through. The window at that angle that makes everything look forgiving. No speech, no grand gesture. Just Dennis turning to her with the directness that had become her favorite thing about him. "I want to keep doing this," he said. "Every day. All of it." The words hung in the air between them. Warm, irreversible. Evelyn looked at him for a long, still moment. Then, "I was hoping you'd say that." Lily materialized in the doorway. With the timing she had perfected over a lifetime of important moments, she looked between them. Her expression was grave, judicial, deeply invested. "Does this mean," she said, "that Evelyn makes pancakes with us on Sundays now?" "If she wants to," Dennis said. Lily turned the full weight of her gaze on Evelyn. "Do you want to?" Evelyn laughed, fully genuinely. The kind of laugh that had been rare for 4 years and now felt, suddenly, like it had always lived here. "More than almost anything," she said. "The note still exists. It sits in a small frame on the kitchen wall now. Crumpled receipt, cramped handwriting, the price of chicken thighs still faintly visible on the other side. On Sunday mornings, 3 people make pancakes. In a kitchen loud with flour and laughter and Charlotte's Web quotes. On Wednesday afternoons, a girl on a swing aims for clouds she's getting closer to every week. And on quiet evenings, 2 people sit on a porch together, watching the light change, no longer filling the emptiness, because it isn't empty anymore. It's just full, ordinary, warm, theirs." Dennis didn't leave that note because someone was watching. He left it because of who he was when no one was. Integrity when no one watches. It doesn't make headlines, it doesn't trend online. But sometimes, quietly, permanently, it changes everything. Kindness isn't loud. It's what you do when no one's watching, and it can fill the emptiness, open doors, and heal hearts in ways you never see coming. If this story touched you, like the video right now, it genuinely helps more than you know. Drop a comment with a moment of kindness you witnessed or a second chance that changed your life. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that good people still exist. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a story that gives you a little of your faith back. And hey, where in the world are you watching from today? Tell us below. We love knowing where these stories land.